I'm Eric.
And I'm Jaime.
And this is Horrorscope, a podcast for people who love horror movies.
And people who want to love them. Okay, it's time. We watched it yesterday. And we're watching...
Return of the Living Dead today.
Yeah! I was gonna say the wrong name. So
shit.
that's good.
What were we gonna say?
Night of the Living Dead?
That is a movie.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Oh wow, this is good jumping off point. Yeah, because this film actually was born out of Night of the Living Dead. Like
really?
zombie movies. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right, hit me with it, Eric. What we got?
So, there's this movie. Wait, before I even get into the facts, what's your experience with zombie movies?
I read The Road. See, it's a book. Nothing.
Is The Road zombies?
It's like a post-apocalyptic... I think there's zombies in the movie.
I thought they were just like cannibals.
Well, they do eat a baby.
Okay.
Classic trope of eating a baby. You know what? I think the answer is nothing, because I think you're actually right.
Oh, no.
And there are no zombies. I read The Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks, in 2010.
Welcome to being in middle school.
Yeah, absolutely. I was interested in it. I've watched playthroughs of zombie games before. I've seen I Am Legend.
All right.
Does that count? That book, have you read that book?
No, but I know about
it's fucking really good. Yeah, my experience is very little to none.
How do you feel about zombies?
I don't think they're that scary. They're not like a major scare for me. I haven't seen The Walking Dead or anything like that.
Mm.
I don't love them. I'll say that. I don't love them. I think you just need to... I understand it's people and that's horrifying, but if you're in that situation, you just need to put that away. Compartmentalize that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Mikey and I have a pact that we would shoot each other if we were zombies.
Yeah.
We do.
That's good. No, I remember I was at your wedding and you read that in your vows.
Oh, yeah.
In front of everyone that you would shoot each other if you turned into zombies.
That would be so embarrassing. I'm sure someone's done it.
Yes, I'm sure. It's probably mandated in some places.
And everyone clicks their shotguns in the audience and they're like, yay!
Okay, now we're getting to scary territory.
Yeah, that's the scary thing about the zombie apocalypse is the only people left over are the preppers.
And that's true.
I don't want to be with them.
Most zombie movies.
Yeah.
Zombie movies, it's a weird genre because I feel yeah, sure, the zombies are kind of scary, but it's they always establish that it's the humans that are the problem and that the zombies represent something more, which goes back to Night of the Living Dead, which was the catalyst for what we know as zombies today. Zombies didn't exist before this movie. They did.
Oh shit!
And name and slight concept.
Well, I know the term zombie comes from voodoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but am I stepping on your shit? Am I stepping on your research?
No,
oh, okay. I just know it comes from a person who is kind of body snatched, basically, is where the initial term comes from. Yeah.
So there's a famous one of the first horror movies, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which is a zombie movie pretty much because the guy gets captured and brainwashed and turned into a serpent. And there's White Zombie with Bela Lugosi. So zombies existed, but just not as the undead flesh eaters that they were.
Ooh. Okay, so this is Night of the... We are watching Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah, so instead of watching the thing that started it all, we jumped 2 decades later.
Okay, so that's from the 60s?
something that's tied to it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's 68.
Okay.
There was a rights issue where pretty much anybody could show Night of the Living Dead, and that's why zombies blew up so much.
Oh.
Was that all the TV channels
it's public
and theaters?
Domain?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, why? They just didn't register.
It was very
right?
low budget, and I don't know the exact details.
Yeah. Did you know Dracula is public domain?
The original or just the
dude, the character Dracula can show up in anything and you don't have to copyright it.
Hell, we're not Dracula guest spot on here. What are they gonna do? So yeah, Living Dead comes out, huge success in the the zeitgeist of cult movies and horror movies.
We gotta watch it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's on the list.
It's not scary at all. But it definitely adds the contextual layer because there's a black character and it's about race.
Okay.
And then George A. Romero, who directed that movie, kind of ran with that.
Yeah.
And so then in the 70s, he made Dawn of the Dead, which was starting to be the peak of consumerism. So they're held up in a mall.
Okay.
And it's kind of more goofy.
Yeah.
And then in the 80s, in 1985, he made Day of the Dead, which was a lot more bleak. And that's the same year that Return of the Living Dead comes out.
Okay.
But
that's not his movie.
No. This is where it comes into play.
What?
Where George A. Romero and John Russo co-wrote Night of the Living Dead. And then through whatever legal channels or whatever, they parted ways. And Romero was able to make sequels to the original movie, while Russo was able to retain the rights to the Living Dead title.
Okay.
So that's why the other two Romero movies are just of the dead and not of the Living Dead.
Wow.
And so then...
Yeah, there's no way I would know that.
no, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
And then John Russo made Return of the Living Dead. He wrote a script and then had Tobe Hooper, who directed Texas Chainsaw Massacre, on board.
Okay.
But then Tobe Hooper left to make it a space vampire movie.
Oh my god, wait, I want to watch that. What is that?
So he went off to make Life Force, which was written by Dan O'Bannon.
Oh shit, Dan, our man.
Dan, our man, who you might take that back after I tell you some details about Dan.
No.
Because the documentary called More Brains, which is a behind the scenes full
of Life Force or of this?
Of Return of the Living Dead.
Did you watch this today?
The documentary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Don't worry, it was only 2 hours.
You had 3 hours.
I buckled down. That documentary definitely painted Dan O'Bannon in a different light than the Alien documentaries I watched him in.
Okay. What do you mean?
Oh. I'll get to there in a second. So Tobe Hooper went to go Life Force, which was written by Dan O'Bannon. Dan O'Bannon came on board and rewrote the script pretty much entirely, because John Russo apparently wrote not that great of a script, and it was very similar to Night of the Living Dead. And O'Bannon was just I want to make this as far or as different from Night of the Living Dead as possible.
Okay.
So he threw a lot black comedy satire into it.
Okay.
And so he threw a lot in there to differentiate what the zombies are. Some of them stuck, some of them didn't. Such as the concept of... Here, actually, before I say it, okay, when you think zombies, what are the tropes?
Eats brains, shuffles, arms extended, rotting flesh, used to be a human.
Perfect.
Okay.
First thing you said, eats brains.
Yes.
Was not established in any zombie movie until Return of the Living Dead. It was the first one to introduce the concept of zombies just wanting to eat brains.
Okay. Ew.
So Dan O'Bannon did that.
Thanks, Dan. That's fine.
Yeah.
Still our man.
Yeah, still our man. And then he also introduced these zombies in the movie. They don't just get killed with headshots, and they run, and they can talk. They're very smart zombies.
They can talk.
So this movie definitely plays a lot around with the zombie concept. So it'd still be very interesting for that to be your first experience.
Zombie movie, yeah.
But everyone does their own thing with zombies, because guess what? I hate to say it, zombies aren't real. You can do whatever the fuck you want with them.
I love to say that they're not real.
You love to, but...
Yes.
I don't know. So he writes this script, and they make it in 1985. It comes out. Introduces all that. It's also infused with punk, and they're we gotta get real punks, and then they just ended up getting actors that had to make it look like punks. But the whole production seemed very punk rock to me, because it was very low budget. It was only $4 million to make.
Okay.
And it was just a lot of people didn't know what they're doing. The special effects artists made horrific special effects and got fired from the movie.
Oh no! Are they in here still?
There's a few in here.
I can't wait.
They eventually fire him and get good effects. This movie has some of the best effects and some of the worst effects.
I can't wait. Combo. I love that.
There's a point you're not to look away though.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
We'll see. What if I'm very brave?
It's a dog.
I will look away. Oh, I'll look away.
Oh, never mind. And then, so the production seemed wild. The lead actress went over to his house to audition, and she opened up the door, and there was a gun on the table, and porn mags, and she just ran away.
Oh, and she was still in it after that?
Yeah.
This is Dan O'Bannon?
So Dan, our used to be man, seems kind of like a shitty dude. We got one.
How fast? Oh, just one, huh?
So far. So far.
How fast they fall.
One of the actresses he hired from a strip club he went to, who isn't the one, spoiler, in this movie, somebody strips. Not the stripper. It's a different actress.
Waste of talent.
Right. She was in the documentary and seemed kind of pissed that she wasn't asked to get nude in the movie. Okay. But she also seemed just generally pissed. When other actors were talking about her, it seemed like nobody really got along with her.
I love that. Who is she in the movie?
I don't remember the character names. I'll point her out to you.
Okay.
She's the preppy girl. She's not the character you'd think would be the one.
Okay.
So that happens, and then Dan is just he He's very It's weird when all the people were talking about him. Everyone had like a different experience with this person.
Okay.
Either people said they loved him, and they said that he was like great on set.
I imagine there was a strong gender split between those experiences.
You know what? When I was watching it, I did realize at a certain point that did happen, where I was like, oh, all the guys really like this dude, and yet some of the women don't.
That's interesting.
One of the actresses, Linnea Quigley, is like she's a scream queen. And she pops out. The only movies I've seen her in, she always is topless, and she seemed very on board for it.
Okay.
And she seemed like she had a great experience with Dana Bannon. So
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either. She was the only one of the female cast, other than like the production lady.
Yeah. Yikes.
So Dan, not so much a man. Doesn't seem like a great guy, but made a good movie. Did you ever see Scooby-Doo, the live-action one?
Oh my god, no, I haven't. I haven't seen any... Okay, this is foundational. No Scooby-Doo.
Oh my god.
I know. Why did I even try to run a Monster of the Week game?
I don't know.
I'm a fucking idiot.
Why are we even doing this podcast? Let's just watch
We're
Scooby-Doo.
doing this podcast to fix it. Oh, you just think we should be watching Scooby-Doo?
We should just be watching the live-action Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo and you.
That's my new
podcast.
So yeah, Dan, at one point, there was another actor, Klugelauger, who's like an older actor. He was like a Western actor and then got into this movie. He never did horror before.
Nice. Good for him for branching out later in life.
Right. He was also in Nightmare on Elm Street too.
Okay.
So he's really just
we'll
really
see
picked
him
up
later.
on that. Yeah, we will. Also 1985. So something happened then.
Yeah.
Hated working with Dan O'Bannon.
Okay.
And apparently on set at one point got a baseball bat and tried to attack Dan O'Bannon.
Whoa.
Which was great because a lot of the actors were like, yeah, he was like crazy. And then it cut to the main girl who apparently he like treated like shit.
Yeah.
And she was just like, I'm so happy he did that.
Oh my
I was like,
God.
that's exactly what I wanted to do, but I was just like 19 at the time,
Oh my God.
And yeah, it was tragic. And it's like,
so wait, did Dan O'Bannon, he just wrote the script, but he wasn't the director?
So this is also one of the only 2 movies he ever directed.
Oh, he directed it. Did
So
he co-direct it?
Nope.
Okay, so, oh no, now I'm going to forget. Night of the Living Dead is Romero.
Yes.
This is Dan O'Bannon wrote and directed this movie.
Yes.
How did he get it? He took it over from the guy
John Russo,
Russo was working with Romero.
Yeah, he was the producer of this film.
And then, okay, so Dan O'Bannon took over from him writing the script, but he still produced it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think a problem, too, with it was that nobody understood the movie until it was done. So, like, he wasn't able to convey what the movie's tone was. One, because it's, like, it's not common, but two, like, from what I gathered, he wasn't that good of a communicator.
It's all the almond.
So it's like actors and, like, the crew and everything were, like, they just didn't understand.
So no one was on the same page.
Yeah, they didn't understand what type of film they were filming. And just, like, nobody knew what was going on.
That's not very punk of them.
No, it's not.
To be clear, dear listener, sexual harassment is not punk rock. It should be met with a baseball bat. And that's that. Is that it? What else? Anything else?
I hope you like this movie. I
feel like
soundtrack.
I'm going to have a hard time liking it because I know the context under which it was made.
I was wondering if I should tell you it before or after.
It's okay. I'm glad to know, but I am going to be thinking about that while watching the movie. But also, I assume, honestly, like, almost everything ever made has had a situation like that on set.
Especially, we were talking earlier about how I think it's fun so far that we've done like a 70s movie, then we did the 2000s,
yeah,
and now we're in like the 80s.
2010s.
2010s, thank
you.
No, I have not
I still think everything is like 10 years ago. I'm like, 1990 was 10 years ago.
That's too horrifying. Let's not think about it.
Okay, fair.
It's rough. But now we're in like peak 80s time. And I do think that Return of the Living Dead is like an essentials 80s horror movie.
Yeah.
But it also comes with that catalyst of like also having shitty things about it.
Sure. I mean, yeah. I think it is not funny, but I guess darkly funny or just mostly like roll my eyes, totally expected that these directors are like, we're really going to say something about something, and then they have this kind of situation.
Yeah.
Or they just like treat their cast members like complete shit, or like all women on set like shit.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, I'm not surprised.
People, so they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so often the set, I can see how the tension rises, and then people be shitty. Yeah. And then some big hotshot thinks that they're like going to be a good director, and in return, like, physically accidentally abuses actors by just like being
Putting them in unsafe situations.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And
I was like, wait, did Dan O'Bannon like hit someone?
no, but there's definitely like they like filmed in like cold environments that cause people to shiver and like
Oh, I see.
feel
Okay.
shitty.
So just like not taking care of them.
Yeah. Which like I think
I don't like knowing that. I wish I didn't know that, but I mean, it's okay.
It's good. That's why we're doing this podcast to see three different. You can listen. Hey, listeners, if you want to listen to a podcast where people just praise a movie just because it's good, then go listen to another podcast.
Yeah, there's like a million
there's
other
so
ones.
many of them.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is great.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm one of those people.
I will still put it in mind, but aside as much as possible.
We'll see how well you're able to do that when we actually watch it.
I guess we'll find out.
There's a very specific scene I'm very curious to see your reaction
Is it
to.
the dog one?
No, because you're going to be looking away the entire time from
Okay,
that
awesome.
one.
All right, we're going to watch it.
All right.
See you guys soon. Hey y'all, I have some content warnings ahead. So in the following discussion, we talk about zombies, sure. We discuss nudity in the film, animal death, self-sacrifice, graphic content, and the COVID-19 pandemic. But I want to warn in particular for a discussion about police brutality. We mention a protester named Robert Forbes, who was at a Black Lives Matter protest and was killed by a car that drove into protesters. A lot has happened in the meantime since we recorded. Summer Taylor was a 24-year-old activist who was murdered in a targeted attack against protesters in Seattle by a man who also drove his car into people protesting Black Lives Matter on a freeway. Diaz Love is another protester who suffered critical injuries in the same attack. A few days after that, Black Lives Matter protesters were harmed by drivers in both New York and Indiana. We'll link to some news stories about those situations. But right now, it's wild recording this podcast earlier. Maybe we should know better because of how 2020 has been going, but we recorded this episode at the beginning of July, right at the beginning of July. And right now, cops are kidnapping protesters in Portland and dragging them into rental cars and unmarked vehicles without identification on. You don't need me to tell you how bad that is. And I know we're just a dinky horror movie podcast, but we're going to keep having conversations about stuff happening in the world. And we strongly encourage you to get active in whatever way you can. Because we believe it's our job and your job to make the world less horrific however you can. So this week we donated to Defense Fund PDX. That's at Defense Fund PDX on Venmo. You can just cash them directly. If you're going to do that, so they are a nonprofit, but make sure to check out their Instagram and send money to the right account. Because some fucking scammers have been using similar handles and they made a GoFundMe, which is not associated with the organization, to steal from the bail fund, which is beyond fucked right now. So just make sure you're sending money to the right place. Not only do they help with bail, they help with medical bills, housing, transportation, and legal and court support. They're a great organization doing some direct work right now. We also donated to the GoFundMes for Robert and for Summer. This is running long, so we'll get back into it, but we just want to stress that there are ways for you to support Black Lives Matter protesters and the abolition of the police state, even if you don't have money to spare right now. Just resharing resources and content is helpful. Protesting, organizing in your community all helps. If you're protesting, thank you and stay safe. If you're donating, thank you and stay safe. Let's get back into it. I think this was the scariest movie we watched so far.
Oh.
Is that crazy to say that?
Yeah. Yeah, but hey, we're back. We're back from the grave and ready to party, just like the tagline.
Oh, I forgot about the girl. I want to party. The one girl. Girl, me too. Yeah, it hits hard in the quarantine.
But the scariest movie?
Yeah.
All right. What's scared you? We did. Okay, so this is the first movie of the 3 movies we've done so far that we did have to fast forward through a part.
That's true. Okay, wait, let me get my summary. All right, here's the summary.
Oh, right, yeah.
Return of the Living Dead. So it starts out in a medical supply business building, whatever. And there's a kid named Johnny, and he is learning the ropes, and so they walk him around, and they're like, here's a cut in half dog that is used as a medical study, and here's cadavers, and here are our zombie in a can government bodies, and he tells the guy who works there tells him this really long story about how there used to be zombies basically, and now they're in the basement, and then he shows him, and then he smacks the can that the zombies are in. He's like, it's US government based, and then gas comes out. And that's the beginning of the movie, and the guys both pass out, and then gas gets out of the building. And spoilers, there's zombies
What?
everywhere now. And then we cut to a group of punks, and then like 2 preppy kids who kind of suck, who are friends with Johnny, the guy who worked there, and they're just kind of rumbling around being punks, and then they're gonna go pick him up. And then they do their punk shit, and they go in a graveyard. And one girl who has David Bowie hair talks about wanting to get eaten alive by men, like sexually, and then she rips her pants off. The rip away pants budget was too high in this movie. That's one of my I don't like. That's my second bullet point.
They spent $2 million on that. It was a $4 million budget.
Well, Ernie loses his pants later too. All right, we'll get there. Not his whole pants, just the leg. But they're just doing punk shit in the graveyard, and then there's zombies, and then they call the boss at the medical supply, and they're like, we're fucked, and then he shows up. And these zombies can't be killed with a headshot, and some of them can talk. And I know we talked about that in the beginning, but they learn the rules of the zombies. The thing that we had to fast forward is the medical study of the dog cut in half comes alive, and they kill it, I assume. Yeah, it was in the end credits too when they did the playback. They did like cuts, and I saw a little bit of it, and it didn't look too scary. Did you consider it scary?
I don't think it's scary. I think the only thing that I was worried that might upset you is that like they like beat it with a broom, and then it makes like dog. Yeah,
I don't love that. But that's a horrible literal half-life to live. So yeah, I guess it's fine. Yeah, so that happens, and then the zombie in the tube comes alive, and basically the punks start getting terrorized, and then they go to the crematorium. Ernie, the mortician, has reached the Horrorscope Hall of Fame for my horror movie survival dream team. Right now, it is him and Ripley, and that's it. I love that dude so much.
None of the kids from it?
No. None of them. No, they were children. They're going to bog us down. And so they end up burning the initial cadaver, but then it's a chemical that causes them to turn into zombies. So that goes in the air, and then it rains, and then the rain seeps into the graveyard where the punks are. So then a ton of zombies pop up. The punks run around. Basically, the guys in the funeral parlor and the punks end up teaming up together. They all start getting killed. And then the 2 guys from the beginning actually turn into zombies, and this is why I thought it was actually the scariest movie we've watched, is because those guys are dead. They don't have a pulse, they don't have a heartbeat, they're room temperature, and then they realize that they're dead, and then they realize what's happening, and then they turn, and one guy does the most baller move of anything I've ever seen in a movie, and he cremates himself. It was sad. I thought it was really sad. He takes off his wedding ring, and he prays, and then he launches himself into the people furnace.
If we have like a Hall of Fame of who we would want in a horror movie, I think we should also start a Hall of Fame of like self-sacrifices in horror movies.
Okay. Absolutely.
He's like number 1 right now.
Number 1, dude. Yeah, absolutely he is. And then the other guy goes after his girlfriend, who's one of the preppy kids. And then the zombies are really smart, so they call more paramedics, and then they call cops, and then they call more cops, which was very funny. And because it's a zombie wearing a cop hat saying, bring more cops, like into the phone. And then they end up calling the government. It's some real deep state shit, because you meet a guy in the beginning who works for the government. He gets a phone call, and then he's talking to them, and he's like, okay, we're going to handle it. And I said to Eric, wow, I'm so surprised and shocked that this is a fucking pro-government movie. The government's going to come save the day. And Eric's face was so weird, and I was like, why is his face so weird? Because the government nukes them. That's the answer. The government fucking nukes all of the zombies, nukes everything. It was it worked. But that is the end of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, the editing is what like sells it, right? I think
Yeah.
that's when you got hyped. Like you're like, oh,
Oh.
the government's gonna save the day. I was like, and then they just nuke them all, and it's like it's so
Insane.
I remember watching it and being so confused for the first time because I was like, wait, but like there's like 5 storylines going on right now, and they just all stop because the government decides to nuke them all, and whatever they're doing to try to survive is fucked. It's so nihilistic. The whole movie is.
The least realistic part of the movie is the government effectively eliminating a threat.
But they did it because the nuclear bomb caused the chemicals to go into the air and create more zombies.
That's a good point.
So they tried to solve a problem with a nuke, and it made things worse.
Even having a budget for the nuke and that guy even still being employed and not having his job cut was very unrealistic, because I was like, if this was 2020, the zombies would have kept going and people would have been like, you can't make me stay inside. I have rights. And then they would have been eaten.
You made the point of how there's always that one guy in the zombie movie, which wasn't in this movie really, where they get bitten and they try to pretend that they're not. But that's currently all of America. Like, there's like so many of those people right now.
I know.
There's just like a horde of those people who are all like sweating and their eyes look all fucked up.
Oh yeah, they're like, dear God. I saw a tweet that said, you shouldn't have pitched this as wearing masks helps other people. Know your audience. And I was like, that's a good point. I was thinking, too, that everything I said about zombies in the first half, I was like, well, you have to put away their element of humanity and just mow through them because that is what you have to do to survive, and people always get hung up on it. This movie introduces, I mean, it fucked every single thing that I thought about zombies, because the zombies could think. I've never thought about zombies being cognizant, right? Have you?
No, like that's what this movie like really changes up the formula.
Yeah.
Romero zombies are just mindless beings that you can kind of kill, and it's about the human element that's scary. But like this is like a little bit more terrifying, because I remember when they revealed the Tar Man for the first time, and then he does his whole chain on the door and starts cranking it, and you were just like, oh no, he's smart. He's figuring this out like that. Yeah, like a horde of intelligent creatures that are running after you.
But it's even worse because you don't. Okay, getting eaten by zombies, bad way to go, all right? Not top of the list. I would argue maybe better than burning yourself alive. Maybe not. But being undead but still feeling things and thinking is horrible. Like, the concept of being dead and being aware of it and then transforming and attacking your loved ones is horrible. It's capital H horrible. And there's a really cool bit with an animatronic, and it's half of a zombie lady basically, and she has her tail spine is like flapping around and she's talking. It looks pretty good for, what was this, 86? 85? Yeah, it looks pretty good for 85. But she's talking and she said eating brains is like the only thing that takes the pain away, right? Something like that.
Let themselves rot.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they can feel themselves rotting and decaying.
That sucks.
Yeah.
When the rigor mortis was setting in too.
Oh my God. That was what sold it for me as the scariest thing we've watched. Because they're watching Johnny and the other guy, like, rigor mortis is setting in, their bodies are falling apart, and then the girlfriend stays with him, and then he turns and starts trying to kill her. And, like, Johnny seemed like a really mild-mannered guy when we knew him. He didn't seem very smart. He seemed pretty sweet and nice. And this girl very clearly loved him a lot. And when he's a zombie... Well, first of all, Ernie kicks ass because he's a mortician. He has acid, conveniently, that he throws at this guy and blinds him. So this blinded... Like, his eyes are all fucked up. This blinded guy's running around screaming, and they're hiding in an attic. And he is, like, screaming over and over again, "Where are you? You made me hurt myself." Which I thought was so scary. It's like the drywall punching boyfriend to the undead extreme. It's like an advanced horrible concept. That really freaked me out. I've been thinking about that part a lot. Also, this is the first time we're recording not immediately after the film, because we watched it at night, because I leveled up in scary processing abilities.
How did you feel about watching it at night? Did you think it affected your viewing at all?
I don't think so, because we've been watching the other ones in a pretty dark room. So I haven't been
like super scared after the fact. I have been having a hard time sleeping, just because
Mm-hmm.
and not even because I'm scared, but because I'm like wired with all of these images, it feels like. So honestly, watching it in the morning, it just gives me all day to think about it. So I don't know if it's better or worse. Yeah. So I don't know. The effects of this movie were very good, I thought, or very bad. No.
Yeah.
But I loved the bad ones. So Eric warned us ahead of time that there are some effects that got the people fired, and the film actually ends on a freeze frame of a like skeleton, a dollar store skeleton sitting up and then opening eyeballs and being like, yeah. And it was, I loved it.
Clearly. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's great.
I loved him. Yeah, I loved him.
I love the idea of your whole body decaying except for your eyeballs.
Yeah, like you are literal bones, but you still got those jelly bits. Oh my god, it was so funny. And this movie is, I mean, it's funny. Like it's darkly comedic, I guess. Also, I know you said, so you were worried I wasn't gonna like this movie.
Oh shit, yeah.
Tell me why.
I don't know. Like I've never talked about a movie with you that's like this. You know, this is just like some weird, campy.
Oh, I thought you meant on the podcast, and I was like, this is episode 4.
we're breaking new ground already, Jamie.
Yeah, but just like in general, that we've never
like,
discussed something like this. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was just curious, and there was just like, it's dumb. There's an extended scene of a girl dancing on top of a grave with a prosthetic Barbie doll part.
Okay, all right. So she rips her pants off. She talks about her her name is Trash, which is a great name. She had David Bowie red hair, and she rips her shirt off, and then she rips her tearaway pants off. And I was like, what the fuck am I looking at? And so Eric said, and I read about it too. I was reading trivia about the movie afterwards. And so she had a full bush, and then they're like, no, you gotta shave it, that's too graphic. And they're like, that's even worse, now we can see all your shit. So then they made her wear like a
man dated. Wow, think about that.
Yeah, so she has this insane cup thing that, I mean, you don't really, I was looking for labia. I was like, okay, there's no way they're showing this in this movie. But yeah, the thing that I realized watching this too, the biggest difference is that they're allowed to talk like real people, and when I say that, I mean they're allowed to say fuck. Because
their conversations are very unrealistic. I don't know, maybe I'm weird and haven't been able to hang out with that group of people.
I don't think you're punk enough to know. Yeah.
Don't tell me that hurts.
But I haven't watched a movie where people swear as much as I do. So I really haven't. So yeah, but she's like naked the whole movie, which is nuts. And then she comes back as a zombie, but then she's like a sexy zombie. And it's like, okay. And the zombies all looked really different. So she came back and she was like covered in white paint. So she looked like the fucking It clown. She looked like Pennywise. And I was like,
I know you haven't seen them, but it's the Evil Dead Deadites. She looked like that because they gave her like a weird prosthetic face too.
Yeah. Was that on purpose? No, Evil Dead comes way later, right?
Evil Dead is. Oh no, Jamie, you're calling me out. I don't think they were trying to reference it because the way her prosthetics looked like Army of Darkness, which was in like the 90s. I mean. So.
Okay, so it was just all over the place, and then there's the Tar Man, which we've referenced a few times. And did you look up how that effect was done?
It was a puppeteer who was inside the costume with like an acting background, and so he was in it and he was kind of moving around, and they had a mechanical face on top of that, of course.
Was he really short? How was he in there?
I think he was just like a lean guy.
Okay, wow.
The way his contortions are like, I think, sell it.
Yeah, I
think
so too.
He has like no control over what he's like trying. It's like when your leg falls asleep and you're trying to walk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're just kind of like you're making some sort of effort, but at the same time, it's not doing what you want to do.
He looked like the goopy guy in Candyland, is what I was thinking of. Yeah, the molasses guy. So there's a zombie that looks like that. A lot of traditional zombies, and you can tell those are just the extras that they slapped some face paint on and were like, go for it. Okay. 2 criticisms. Tearaway Pants budget of the movie was too high.
That's a valid criticism.
And Suicide is the other punk guy who has the best punk outfit of them all. He was the ultimate punk, and he died way too soon. I would have liked to see him in the movie a lot more. I don't know why he was only in it for a second.
They made too powerful of a character. They're like, all right,
Maybe.
we'll have like the leader of the punks, and then he'll die in the beginning to like show that the zombies are real business because we killed the most powerful character. But
It was a mistake. They made a mistake. And he was they were in the graveyard, and Trash is trying to have sex with him, and he's like, have some respect for the dead, man. And I just love that guy. And then he got his brain eaten real quick.
Oh.
But that was it. That was the things I didn't like.
So you love the movie.
I don't know if I loved it. I enjoyed watching it, and I thought about it a lot afterwards. I don't know if it was good. But I didn't love it, but I did like it.
That's, hey, it's a step up from it.
I have to differentiate. Well, because I loved Alien, and I loathed it, and I liked this one. So we're really...
Should we base how much you love a movie based on if you buy a poster within the next week after watching the movie?
Why are you calling me out? Why are you calling me out?
I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying that, like, I feel like I'm only going to see the movies you're going to be like, yo, I like really enjoyed it. And then like a week later, you don't buy a poster.
I bought an Alien poster, okay? Listening at home, I bought an Alien poster. Fine, sue me. I bought one. It's really cool. I bought an Alien poster. I'm just going to buy an Alien poster every time we watch a movie I don't like. So it's just going to be my whole house.
It's just going to be a whole room full of Sigourney Weaver.
That's the dream. That's my dream. That's my dream. So I think we should talk about something you pointed out while we were watching it too. And you said there's something really shitty about seeing a cop car plow into a crowd of people.
Oh, wow.
Which is not something Did you just say you agree? You did say it. I didn't say that. You did.
No. I'm saying I forgot I said that, and then I had the image in my head, and I'm like, oh god, that was.
Yeah. So, context again. If you're listening to this back, it is now July of 2020. There have been protests going on the last month and a little bit for Black Lives Matter, and the problems of the way that the cops have been behaving, it's built into the system, so it's been going on forever, but it's really coming to light for a lot of people. And there are, like, cops are just running people over. Also, racists and white supremacists and terrorists, because I'll call it how it is, are showing up to protest and trying to run over protesters with their cars. I was looking into this a little bit. I mean, I don't know why, I just was thinking about it. It sucked looking at it, but a protester named Robert Forbes died on June 6th, and he was hit by a car while protesting in Bakersfield, California. The cops didn't cuff the driver, and they let him smoke a cigarette before arresting him while shielding him from protesters who were trying to get at him. And it's been weird how every movie has hit kind of differently. I don't know if it has as much, but I wonder if this is going to continue throughout the pod. But, like, thinking about things in the context of what's going on right now is...
Well, Jamie.
Wild. What?
The article I just found.
Oh, okay.
There's a New York Post article that is titled "Horror Movie Fans Coping Better with Coronavirus Study Finds." And they mentioned later in the article that you've seen it 100 times in movies, so it doesn't catch you off guard so much. So, of course, it's talking about specifically with coronavirus and watching horror movies like Contagion or The Walking Dead. But I think it also, as we're talking now, applies to more of the shit that's going on too. So I think we're going to see it a lot more, because when we're talking about the horrors of when a person sits down and says, how do I scare people? They think of like what's terrifying. And unfortunately, we live in a time where a lot of that is like becoming a reality. Not necessarily as fantastical as having flesh-eating zombies, but...
I mean, almost. We're like really close. We're like one little sprinkle of goodness away from this, right?
Hey, listen. Would that be so bad if they acted like the Return of the Living Dead zombies? They were just asking for more cops to kill. So,
oh shit, that's that's praxis. So we were pro alien, and now we're pro zombies eating cops.
Specifically just the cops. Leave the punks alone.
I did laugh at the cops show up and it's raining and they have little plastic wrap covering their little cop hats. And I was like, fuck you guys. Yeah, I think maybe, you know how we were talking in the first episode about in episode 0 about how you are looking for the adrenaline rush of being chased by a lion?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being chased by a lion and I'm like, I gotta think about something else. And that's why I want to watch horror movies. I'm like
there's like a crocodile in the distance as you're running away from the lion. Like, could that get me maybe?
Yeah, maybe. It's a horde of zombies. It's Pennywise. I'm like, oh, that one's worse than this one. So.
You're getting chased by a lion and you look over and Pennywise is in the bushes with a severed hand and he just waves to you.
I wave back. We're live RPing right now.
Oh, no.
Do you have any extra thoughts about the movie that you thought about after did watching it with me, besides the quarantine lens to view it through? Any like additional thoughts, or has your opinion changed on this viewing from other ones?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to say that I found, I mean, the humor's always hit, but we found new humor in the fact that after reading that background story of Clue Gallagher trying to beat Dan O'Bannon with a baseball bat. In the movie, he constantly has like a pipe or like a legit baseball bat with him, as if Dan O'Bannon is just like handing him a weapon to beat him with.
Look, I get it, and I respect him, and I wish he had done it. And I'll just say that. I'll just leave it there.
I think we don't. We kind of side with the zombies, but we definitely side with Clue Gallagher in that situation.
Yes. I thought that was so funny. I was just like, look, that guy's baseball bat happy, dude. He's swing happy. Like, you created your worst enemy, Dan O'Bannon.
You gave him the idea. You planted it, literally, in your movie.
Yeah.
You weird, creepy sex man. I think it's a very funny movie. I think the practical effects are fun. I think the story's very good. I love the punk rock aspect of it and its nihilistic point of view. But I never found it really that scary. But again, we live at these quarantine times, and it's just like you have this more relatability to it all.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like stuff got to me. Like when we were watching Freddy and the other guys slowly turn into zombies.
Horrible.
And they're just like screaming. And they're just in such agony. Like maybe it's because my adult brain is able to like comprehend that more of like what these people are like. You have more empathy towards them. Because I don't know. I would not want to be eaten alive. I'll say it. That's on my top of my list. I'd rather be burned. Hey, fans out there, if you want to kill me, burn me, don't eat me. That's the goal. That's gross. Cut that. That's just some vor shit.
Oh, I'm keeping that in.
No. But yeah, like also the pain of being a zombie.
Because you think death is like a release, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
and then somebody brings you back and they're like, hey, you're back and you're in constant pain.
That's hell.
The fact that the one guy was able to willingly make the sacrifice and kill himself, and all the other zombies, including Freddy, didn't kill themselves. I don't know what that means.
This is exactly like Twilight. When, hear me out. Hear me out. This is exactly like Twilight when Bella turns into a vampire and all newborn vampires can just basically not control themselves eating people, but she's able to stop herself. And they're like, oh, then why did our fucking shitty brother eat so many people when he was a new vampire? And then everyone like stares at him and he feels guilty and bad.
And that's how far as it goes?
Yep.
Okay. I was gonna say that's a pretty deep concept for Twilight.
We don't even have time to start talking about Twilight, Eric. That's a whole other podcast.
That's for other podcasts.
That's a whole other podcast. You have been surprised at my reaction so far.
Yeah. Well, we came in here and you're like, I don't even know if this podcast is gonna go on that long because I'm gonna be so scared. And here we are.
I know I did just pitch watching like 4 movies this weekend.
Yeah.
So
that's bad for you because now I feel like I've been too tame with you. I feel like I've been too not safe for Jamie. I gotta like ease it up a little bit. We gotta go deeper.
We just started, man. It's okay. Just let me be cocky for a little bit.
Oh, I will. But
oh no.
I feel like we're gonna hit it because I think we talked about this in episode 0 too. Like so far we've been trying to do like older movies and newer movies.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be harder for you to be legitimately scared of older movies, and we've only done one new movie so far, and it was a bad movie. So we haven't done a good new movie yet.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I think
that's like the cross sections we need to reach, and then if you're not scared from that,
I'm unstoppable.
You're unstoppable.
There's a whole chunk of horror movies that's like torture movies that I think I'm not gonna handle well. Like Saw, which I know we have to watch, but like
you see Saw.
Okay.
We'll bring that joke back. We'll bring that back. That's a good run through line joke, right? Seesaw. That's been not made. This movie was $4 million to be made and made $14.2 million worldwide.
That's not bad.
In 1985, the top 5 grossing movies of the year were Back to the Future, Rambo: First Blood Part 2, Rocky IV, The Color Purple, and Out of Africa.
I haven't seen any of those.
What a slew of movies. What a good year for Stallone.
A really Stallone heavy year.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta rate it, huh?
Oh, yeah. Okay. You gotta give scare scale and good scale.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 2.5 on the scares. 2.5. Right. I think the concepts were scary. Like Alien, the concepts were scary, but it didn't get... When I'm rating scares, I'm rating like visceral reaction watching it, not thinking about it afterwards. Because I would argue that Alien is much scarier than it. But I gave it a higher rating, because, like, watching it, I was more freaked out. So that's what that means. I'm giving it a 2.5. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 for good film.
All right.
Not the best, not the worst. I did enjoy watching it a lot. And I think the rating will get easier as we keep going. So far we've had a 5, a 1.5, and a 3. So we gotta shoot for that 2 and that 4, baby. We gotta get in there.
Killing it. Should we say what our next movie is, or should we leave that up for a surprise? It's midsummer. It's midsummer, guys. We're doing it. You asked for it, and we are recording this before we've released any of our episodes, but we know that you've been asking for it. And so we reached out to Ari Aster. He has not reached back.
I don't want him to reach back, dude. Him reaching anywhere, I don't want to see what comes out, what he pulls out, Any last words about punk rock? It will never die.
It'll never die. Punk is so cool, guys. Oh man.
Eric's a cop.
Man, hey, the Cramps are in this. We got 45 Graves, the Darned, and SSQ. We got some great punk bands in this movie. The punk looks were on point. I don't know why there was preps in there.
Yeah, that was a criticism of the movie too. Is the preppy kids? I didn't understand the crew. They should have just made them all punks. Just put more eyeliner on that one girl.
It's more punk that you have preps with them. Anybody could be punk. Even me, your resident punk dad. Kids. You got to party hard, but responsibly.
He's so lame.
Our theme song is written by Anthony Erdo and the Grand Prix. You can hear more of their music at thegrandprix.com. Follow us on Twitter at Horrorscope Pod with 2 Ds, or on Instagram at Horrorscope Pod with 1 D. Your horoscope for the day is: a special someone will soon appear that will love you for your brain.